In our previous video, we talked about what the games industry really looks like today. The challenges, the opportunities, and the forces that are shaping its future. And one of the biggest issues we touched on was development costs. Budgets are exploding, studios are shutting down, and yet, games have never looked better. So why is the industry collapsing under its own weight? Hi everyone, welcome back to Life About Games. As usual, my name is Alex, and today we'll be taking a closer look at how rising costs are putting pressure on studios, and what that means for smaller teams who are trying to break through or simply survive. Starting with a bit of perspective, game budgets have always grown from one generation to the next. But the leap we've seen in the past decade, it's on another level. If we go back a few generations, a big AAA title might have cost anything between 10 to 15, maybe even $50 million to make. Expensive? Yes, but manageable. Fast forward to today, and the same kinds of projects are costing hundreds of millions. Take Grand Theft Auto 6, for example. Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two, has officially confirmed that over the past 5 years, the game's budget has already passed $1 billion. $1 billion. Final Fantasy VII on the original PlayStation cost around $40 million to develop. The remake? Around $200 million. And Spider-Man 2, once you add marketing, pushes past $300 million. And the list goes on. Everywhere you look, development budgets have ballooned far beyond what anyone thought possible. From ambitious RPGs to cinematic shooters, the numbers just keep climbing. And it's not just production. It's technology, talent, marketing, everything. Part of it is inflation, yes, but the real reason is scale and expectation. Players want massive open worlds, cinematic storytelling, 4K visuals, realistic physics, ray tracing, orchestral scores, professional actors, and all of that adds cost. Every new generation of hardware pushes developers to reach higher. Every technological leap multiplies the resources needed. A game that once required a few dozen artists and programmers now needs hundreds of specialists. Environment teams, animation teams, lighting, shaders, cinematics, AI, QA, localization, marketing, each one with salaries, software licenses, and production overheads. The result is an industry chasing quality at any cost, and slowly discovering that any cost might be too high. Now, when we talk about soaring budgets, one might ask, where does all the money actually go? Over the years, we've seen games grow not just in visual fidelity, but also scope and complexity. And teams are growing much bigger as well. Video games journalist Jason Schreier illustrates this point well in his Bloomberg report. He said, if you have 100 employees and you're estimating $15,000 a month for each one, you're spending $18 million a year. If you have more than that, well, just do the math. And that's before even a single copy of the game is sold. Payrolls alone represent tens of millions of dollars in annual costs. Then you have tools and technology, proprietary engines, Unreal licensing, and all the specialized software used for animation, design, and testing. There are also publishing platform fees to account for. Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, Apple, Google are all taking their share, which is around 30%. Creative costs add even more. The art, motion capture, voice acting, narrative design, functional testing, audio, localization, player support. It's a vast interconnected process with many moving parts. And then on top of that, there's marketing with campaigns that can far exceed the development budget itself. In the past, strong word of mouth could carry a title. But today, in an oversaturated market, you need trailers, paid campaigns, influencer partnerships, event booths, PR agencies, and a social presence running around the clock. When you combine all of these factors, teams, technology, creative production, and marketing, it becomes clear how easily budgets reach hundreds of millions of dollars. But here's the issue. While development costs have risen exponentially, the price of a game has barely changed. For nearly 2 decades, the standard retail price for a major release has remained $60. Only recently did it rise to $70, and even that small adjustment sparked controversy. Raising prices has become extremely difficult. After decades at the same level, players are anchored to that expectation, and any increase is heavily scrutinized. When prices go up, piracy tends to follow. Meanwhile, the rise of free-to-play models has reshaped consumer behavior. Players now expect lower entry prices, or in many cases, no entry price at all. To compensate, publishers rely on post-launch monetization, downloadable content, cosmetic items, and microtransactions. But even with these systems in place, the economics still don't add up. Roughly 1/3 to 1/2 of players wait for discounts or sales before purchasing. That means a large share of copies are sold at a fraction of the intended price, limiting total revenue potential. Some studios choose a lower launch price to reach more players. Games like Hollow Knight Silksong sit around $20, but that caps the market from the start. Meanwhile, every other entertainment industry has adapted. Movie tickets, streaming subscriptions, even concert tickets all have steadily increased in price. Games haven't. And when studios can't raise the price of a single title, they turn to subscriptions instead. Just look at Microsoft's recent move. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate has now seen its second price increase in just over a year, rising more than 50% in markets like the US and the UK. It's a clear sign that publishers are testing new ways to recover the revenue traditional pricing can no longer sustain. To close the gap, publishers double down on monetization. Battle passes, expansions, pre-orders, and live service models. But this approach has created a new problem: player fatigue and a growing sense of distrust. We've seen it repeatedly. Anthem, Skull and Bones, Suicide Squad, Concord, all built to be major, ongoing live service titles, and all underperformed or failed to find an audience. Anthem, for instance, spent 7 years in development and sold around 5 million copies. But expectations were far higher. In 2021, Electronic Arts cancelled further development, and the servers are now expected to shut down in 2026. When your break-even point sits at 5 million copies sold just to cover costs, failure becomes the default. And that's the reality studios are facing today. A business model that no longer scales with the creative ambition behind it. This financial imbalance isn't just a numbers problem. It's reshaping the entire landscape of game development. Over the past few years, we've seen a wave of studio closures and mass layoffs across the industry. Volition, the team behind Saints Row, shut its doors after 30 years. Tango Gameworks, the studio behind Hi-Fi Rush, was closed despite delivering one of the most acclaimed titles of 2023. Arcane Austin, best known for Prey, was shut down following the commercial failure of Redfall. BioWare Montreal, the team behind Mass Effect Andromeda, dissolved. The list keeps growing. It's what many analysts call the profitability paradox. Even studios that are known for turning a profit when given the right means are being shut down if their returns don't meet shareholder expectations. Because in today's AAA landscape, being profitable isn't enough. A game needs to be blockbuster profitable. That pressure leads to even more consolidation. Fewer projects are being greenlit, and the ones that do move forward are sequels, remakes, or spin-offs based on proven IPs. Former PlayStation executive Sean Layden summed it up perfectly. The industry's obsession with big-budget blockbusters has stifled creativity. And he's right. As budgets grow, risk tolerance shrinks. It's safer to invest in a sequel than to gamble on a new idea. But that safety comes at a cost. Fewer original stories, fewer experiments, and a creative space that feels increasingly narrow. And while players don't see the budgets behind the scenes, they do feel the consequences. Longer development cycles, more delays, fewer mid-sized projects, and rising subscription and in-game costs to make up for it all. This environment squeezes out innovation, but it's also opening the door for something else. For large publishers, changing course is extremely difficult. Their structures are heavy, their pipelines expensive, and their investors demanding. But smaller studios, those working in the AA and indie space, are showing there's another path forward. Over the past few years, we've seen incredible success stories from smaller teams. Games like Dave the Diver, Dredge, Hades, Lies of P, and The Plague Tale have proven that creativity and focus can outperform scale. These teams are selective with scope, deliberate with design, and willing to take creative risks that bigger studios simply can't afford. Even studios achieving major success are choosing to stay small. Sandfall Interactive, the team behind Clair Obscur Expedition 33, recently said they intend to remain lean despite the game's strong reception. They understand that agility and independence are strength, not limitations. And that's the key difference. While big publishers are forced to chase massive returns, smaller teams are able to build sustainable businesses around more focused projects. A team with a budget of $1 to $5 million doesn't need to sell 5 million copies in order to survive. It just needs to connect with the right audience. That's where new funding models are helping. Specialized publishers, government grants, crowdfunding, and early access all make it possible for small teams to fund development without compromising ownership and vision. And let's not forget the players. Audiences are changing too. Many are growing tired of endless open worlds and hundreds of hours of filler content. There's a growing appetite for games that respect the player's time. Experiences that are compact, creative, and emotionally resonant. But it's not without its challenges. Inflation, outsourcing costs, and marketing expenses are rising for everyone. And discoverability, standing out in an oversaturated market, is becoming the biggest challenge of them all. That's why strategy, positioning, and funding discipline are just as important as game design itself. A great game isn't enough anymore. It needs the right plan behind it. The truth is, the video games industry is at a crossroads. The escalating budgets, the pressure to deliver constant growth, and the dependency on massive returns, they've all pushed the system to its limits. But in that pressure, there's also a shift happening. We're beginning to see the cracks in the old model. And in those cracks, new opportunities are taking root. Smaller teams are proving that focus, creativity, and smart planning can outshine scale. They're delivering memorable experiences with a fraction of the resources. The death of bloated budgets might sound grim, but it could also mark the start of a new golden era. One driven by studios that are smarter, more agile, and more in tune with what gamers actually want. Because the future of gaming isn't just about who can spend the most money. It's about who can tell the best stories, connect with players, and build something sustainable. I would love to hear about what you think. Do you believe smaller studios are filling the void AAA is leaving behind? Or are we heading towards an even more consolidated future? Leave a comment below, and if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people who care about these topics. That's it for now. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, stay happy and keep gaming.